So the definition of broader concept of culture here becomes vital in the theories of city and city culture. It is especially escalated today. And this broader concept of culture allows us to give up outdated hierarchies of high culture and popular culture, high art and popular art. But there still are contradictions between a hard culture, hard forms, and soft forms of culture, which leads to discussions about ephemeral forms of art, public attendance, numbers, as I mentioned, significance of public place, because what is the quality of public place is also a key question today. The most remarkable cities, of course, no longer boast the finance today. The culture becomes the new urban business, as it is widely acknowledged. And of course, every city which boasts as a cultural center would have its own museum, the new museum especially, and the new local Little Italy or Montmartre, like in Vilnius, and other things that follow along that repertoire of cultural planning. The arsenal of these creative themes is rather limited when it comes to local image making. Every city strives to become the center of creativity, every city strives to encourage the community initiatives, variety of lifestyles, etc., which becomes official paradigm today. And especially Eastern European cities or Central European cities declare themselves as being the center of Europe. And you could hear the same in Vilnius, in Prague, in Berlin in some way. Cities become, like Vilnius officials would say, cultural crossroads between East and West, which is far from new, of course. In Vilnius, for example, like in most cities around the world, concepts like riverside revival, riverside development, and adaptation of banks of the river became quite important. Industrial city landscapes in post-industrial economy were irreversibly transformed here, likewise elsewhere, into apartment blocks, customer service and commercial centers, and new leisure facilities like big congress centers and centers of convention and similar things. The processes usually are initiated by real estate developers. And here in Vilnius is quite visible on the right bank side of the Neris River. It shows various entertainment, public and mass cultural events that are located in square of Europe, where the Vilnius municipality, the new municipality, is located today. And there is the huge skyrise of European Business Center. Challenges for very new artistic venues, like the new museum, also correspond with contemporary trends in urbanism. In this, the example of Vilnius seems quite relevant for considering that divergence between rhetoric and what is going on in reality, in urban reality. Over the past 10 years, Vilnius' aspirations as the city of culture were activated by advertising flagship developments for a new European city, and that played the main role in the program of Vilnius European Capital of Culture in 2009. I don't want to get into the story of the new big multifunctional centers which were planned here and it never happened to be true. But still, one example, a vision of a heterogeneous multifunctional cultural center which would stimulate tourism and the art market was envisaged here by politicians, and later this rhetoric was wrapped up in political scandals. The Hermitage Guggenheim Museum, which was also planned in the place of the Palace of Sport and Culture, is another idea proposed by our former mayor and recent mayor Artūras Zuokas, with the backing of idea of fluxus in Vilnius, because Vilnius cultural planning is very much entrenched into this fluxus history, and Vilnius and Lithuania being the center of fluxus. For today, I want to switch into softer examples of artistic activities that are connected with buildings and infrastructure anywhere. So in this context, ideas proposed by local communities for me seemed more realistic than some global visions. And I want to talk about Kultflaks Pavilion, which opened in July 2008 next to the Mindaugas Bridge. It was born as a part of the People's Program for Vilnius Capital of Culture project. And various objects in its surroundings in a way continued the tradition of sculptures in the river. Because we had that tradition, sculptures, like this sculpture for me, it wasn't a very successful example because it collected lots of rubbish eventually, it was dismantled. But still, here you have the entrance, and here you have the same Kultflaks, which was broken by ice a couple of years ago. It needed to be restored during spring, and you could see the same pavilion still standing there next to the bridge. So this arts dog that invited people, quote, create, party, relax, and enjoy culture floating on water, end quote, proposed a lot of urban design and visual arts, also cinema projects for young people, and especially it was convenient, I think, for students of Academy of Art to present their work. So from political point of view, the dog became paradoxically intriguing short-term base for temporary projects on the background of ongoing constant development, especially real estate development, which was going on the same right bank side of Neris. The short-term nature of one-off events was related to community involvement and some cultivation of tolerance and rhetoric of higher quality of life, green initiatives, and some more permanent values. This attitude echoed the genre of art in unusual places, which was popularized along Vilnius European Capital of Culture program, and that is the event which is remained one of the most famous as continuous strategy of this Vilnius Capital of Culture program. We could also wonder about the strategy of alternative art, and some time ago the usual semi-artistic scenes were linked to the exoticism or nostalgia of the past that I mentioned. Abandoned houses in the old town, derelict factory buildings, brick houses, old military quarters, or the same iron hook building from a palace of railway workers. In this context, it is difficult to think that bright green floating pavilion of Kultflaks was an alternative space, as it bore more resemblance to a prop element from contemporary urban city. It is no surprise that official authorities of the city considered Kultflaks platform emblematic to their endeavors, and audio and visual culture events, lectures, information can only relatively be seen as unconventional modes of artistic activities here, because it went along the official paradigm of cultural planning. Unfortunately, the actual and, financial input from the municipality into the opening of this dock remains very vague, and therefore I would rather associate the platform with private initiatives of the young architects, critics, and cultural operators than government support. Informal connections also meant that with economic recession and the consequent squeeze of funds, especially funding for NGO, in this context, the pavilion became a space of free events, and these events were totally free from any ideological or financial suppress. Under the collective agreement between organizers and some institutions, this place became a platform to politically very distinctive initiatives, ranging from cinema, Skalvija cinema film screenings to radically leftist Luni University lectures.